The ruthless alien Overlord rejected every gift until a human child offered a simple handwritten note of gratitude. The arrival of the warlord, known only as Verkoth, was heralded by fire across the skies. His fleet, black as obsidian and humming with plasma engines, stretched across the heavens like a second horizon. Entire civilizations had trembled at his approach, and planets once rich in life were reduced to smoking husks under his merciless campaigns. He was not a ruler who governed with law or with treaties. He demanded tribute, resources, weapons, and servitude, and annihilated those who failed to comply. When Earth was discovered, humanity expected the same fate. The governments convened, satellites screamed warnings, and defense systems scrambled to lock onto his warships. Yet no barrage came. Instead, a single ultimatum echoed across all communications frequencies, translated by the invaders' machines into every tongue. Offer tribute, or be silenced. The nations of Earth panicked. To appease him, they gathered all they could. Cargo ships filled with gold, platinum, rare isotopes, and priceless works of art were escorted into orbit. Leaders across the globe sent their offerings, masterfully crafted sculptures, ancient artifacts, and technological prototypes. They were gifts meant to display both Earth's wealth and ingenuity. But when the tributes were delivered, Verkoth rejected them all. In the great audience chamber aboard his flagship, the alien Overlord towered over the emissaries who had been permitted to bring their gifts personally. His armor was jagged, forged from metals no human eye had seen, his visage hidden behind a mask with glowing crimson slits for eyes. He sat upon a throne carved from the remains of a planet he had conquered long ago. "This is pathetic," his voice thundered, deep and resonant like molten stone cracking apart. "Do you think trinkets of yellow metal impress me? Do you believe your primitive energy cores are worth my notice? You insult me with these scraps." The emissaries trembled, their faces pale. Every gift they had believed would save them was hurled into the incinerator pits by his guards. The Overlord's demands grew harsher. Fuel for his fleets, entire populations conscripted as slaves. Humanity faced extinction or eternal bondage. The child who shouldn't have been there. In the chaos of preparations, few noticed a stowaway hidden among the diplomatic envoy. Her name was Lila, a 7-year-old orphan from one of the refugee camps in Europe. She had slipped aboard when the delegation had been preparing their cargo, clutching the only possession she treasured, a small box of crayons and a stack of paper scraps. She had no parents left, lost to the first orbital strikes when the aliens had scorched warning shots across Earth's defenses. She had no wealth to offer, no authority to speak. But she had listened when the adults whispered in fear, and she had thought, in her childlike way, maybe he just doesn't understand. When the Overlord bellowed his fury and the gifts of Earth lay in molten ruin, Lila wandered from the shadowed corner where she had hidden. Guards turned with weapons raised, but before they could fire, Verkoth lifted a hand. "Leave her," he ordered, curiosity lacing his tone. A hush fell over the chamber as the small human child, her shoes scuffed and her dress patched, stepped forward clutching a folded piece of paper. Her hands shook, but she held it up to the towering alien warlord with a stubborn bravery that silenced even the diplomats. It's for you," she said softly. The warlord tilted his head, looming closer. His armor creaked as he reached out, enormous clawed fingers surprisingly careful as he took the flimsy paper. He unfolded it with hands that could crush steel, and paused. Drawn in uneven crayon lines was a picture, a huge alien figure, clearly him, helmet and all, surrounded by stars. And beside him, a tiny human girl held his hand. Above, in large wobbly letters, were the words, "Thank you for not hurting us." the breaking of the mask. For a long, terrible moment, no one dared breathe. The Overlord's crimson eyes scanned the child's work. His soldiers shifted uneasily, their claws tightening on their weapons. The diplomats stared in horror, certain the alien would obliterate the girl for her audacity. But something strange happened. The mask that had never once slipped cracked, figuratively and almost literally. The Overlord's shoulders, always rigid and proud, sagged. His breath came in a slow, uneven hiss. When he finally spoke, his voice lacked its usual iron edge. "Why, oh, why would you thank me, little one?" "Because," Lila whispered, "you could have destroyed us already, but you didn't. That means you care. Maybe a little." No conqueror had ever been spoken to this way. No diplomat, no king, no warlord from another system had ever dared presume that Verkoth had mercy. Yet this fragile human child did, with nothing but hope in her wide brown eyes. The warlord looked again at the card. He remembered, in the distant, buried corners of his memory, a world long gone, his own home, where he too had once been a child. He remembered the simple gifts exchanged before war consumed his people. He remembered when a crude drawing had once been handed to him by his younger sibling, back before he had lost everything to betrayal and conquest. Something cracked inside him. Something he thought had been long obliterated. A shift in the Overlord. The emissaries expected rage, yet Verkoth did not incinerate the card. He did not laugh. Instead, he rose slowly from his throne, towering high, and knelt so that his glowing eyes met the little girl's. "Your people bring me riches, weapons, and slaves," he said, voice low. "But you bring me this." Lila nodded nervously. "It's not much, but it's all I have." For the first time in centuries, the alien warlord laughed, not a cruel, mocking bark, but a deep, weary sound that startled even his guards. "Then it is more than all the treasures of your world combined," he said. The middle. Tensions shift. News spread like wildfire across Earth and the stars alike. The Overlord who had never accepted tribute had taken a child's drawing instead. Rumors spread among his own soldiers, shaking the certainty of their leader's merciless image. Was he changing? On Earth, leaders scrambled, confused and fearful. Could this be a trick? A cruel setup for further conquest? Yet, as the days passed, the Overlord did not demand slaves or slaughter populations. Instead, he called for dialogue. He demanded to learn more about this art humans cherished, about gratitude, about kindness. It was unheard of. Alien spies whispered that the warlord's enemies across the galaxy saw a weakness in this. Fleets began mobilizing to strike him while he was distracted. But Verkoth was not weakened. He was evolving. And the seed of that transformation had been planted by a single human child with a crayon. The final test. Weeks later, a coalition of alien warlords descended upon Earth, seeking to exploit the supposed fracture in Verkoth's rule. They came in fleets larger than anything Earth had imagined, determined to seize the blue planet and dethrone the Overlord. The people of Earth braced for annihilation. Even Verkoth's own generals doubted him, whispering that he would falter. But when the invasion came, Verkoth stood at the forefront.